Hello everyone and welcome. Thank you so much for dropping by the channel, but in this short video we're taking a look at Slug Shotgun DPS. Now, with Beyond Light fast approaching and not too far away, I want to start avoiding weapon testing for anything that's getting sunset at the end of Season 11. This means that, as far as I know, there are only two Slug Shotguns that apply here, them being the Chaperone and First In Last Out. So for the structure of the video, I'll talk about the numbers for each individual weapon, like always, spending a little more time with First In Last Out to look at the differences between two magazine perks and compare them, and then it will be straight onto the graph. No need to rank them in a table, highest to lowest, as I'm not really comparing that much. After which, First In Last Out will be paired with Anarchy, and I've got to be honest, I was quite shocked at the results. The only assumption was that a generic large reloader mod was equipped and First In Last Out has boss spec, or in my case, because testing was against Greg, major spec. So simple requirements and easy-ish to obtain DPS numbers that don't require a build, which only works on a Tuesday and when the wind is blowing west. So starting with the Chaperone, as the numbers are basic. This does 24,549 precision damage per round, and you can hold a total of 17 without any mods increasing that, so base numbers. This means total damage is 417,333. Now, after you've fired the first 6 rounds, which is what it holds in the magazine, you want to spam your reload and fire buttons. Doing this will mean you fire as soon as the magazine indication number in the lower left hand corner of the screen goes from 0 to 1. When it does turn to 1, the final part of the animation is cut off and you immediately fire again, as demonstrated on screen now, when I'm switching back and between two frames that were next to each other. Things do slow down a little after doing this with the Chaperone, but we're talking around 0.08 to 0.1 seconds per round, so nothing too big, but it has been taken into consideration for DPS. With this in mind, it takes 14.37 seconds to empty everything, meaning DPS comes in at 29,042, which is actually very good. Now, for First In Last Out, and I was fortunate enough to be gifted with one that had the perks Vorpal Weapon, Auto Load and Holster, and a choice of either Tactical Mag or Assault Mag. If only Last Wish would gift me the Supremacy Sniper now, eh? So Tactical Mag increases the magazine size and reload speed, while Assault Mag increases the fire rate, which is key here. They both increase stability, with Assault Mag increasing it a little bit more. But before I move on to any numbers, I want to show the difference in fire rate between these two magazine perks, and despite Tactical Mag increasing reload speed, when the same fire method I've spoken about with the Chaperone is adopted, such as the 1-for-1 reload and fire, reload speed doesn't seem to matter, and it's all about the fire rate. So on the left we have a Tactical Mag, and on the right we have Assault Mag. I'm going to fire rounds on both with the magazine at 0, and you'll see that despite Tactical Mag decreasing reload time, the fire rate increase from Assault Mag is what makes a difference here. And that seems to be because when using this method, you cancel the last part of the reload animation, similar to the Chaperone. So reload speed is arguably irrelevant, even though you're reloading the weapon in between every round. But with First In Last Out, you can also maintain near as damn it the same fire rate as when the magazine isn't empty, which I'm also demonstrating on screen now with a full magazine on the left and an empty magazine on the right, both with Assault Mag. Basically, you can fire First In Last Out without any reload penalty, and that pays dividends for DPS. Anyway, the numbers. With Vorpal Weapon and a major spec mod, First In Last Out does 28,976 damage per round against Greg and holds a total of 16 rounds with nothing to boost this, meaning total damage is 463,616, beating the Chaperone by just under 50,000. Using the method demonstrated just now, it takes 13.8 seconds to do this with Tactical Mag, therefore DPS is 33,593. But with Assault Mag, the same damage is inflicted in 12.75 seconds, so DPS for that is a whopping 36,362, which is sword territory. And something that some people may find interesting, with Assault Mag, the fire rate for First In Last Out goes from 65 rounds per minute to 70 rounds per minute, which is then the same as the Chaperone, but when the magazine isn't empty, of course. So onto the graph, starting with the Chaperone as a base. You may notice that around the 4-second mark the line starts to climb a little slower, and that's because, as I've discussed, using the 1-for-1 fire and reload method when the magazine is empty, it isn't quite as fast as when firing with a magazine that isn't empty. Next is first in last out with tactical mag, falling a little behind the Chaperone up until that 4-second mark, where it then begins to cleanly pull away as it can maintain full fire rate after the magazine has hit 0. First in, last out with assault mag now, and as we already know, it does the same damage, but in less time due to the faster fire rate. This is the kind of difference just 5 rounds per minute makes. And of course, it wouldn't be a video by me if I didn't pair this with Anarchy. So coming onto the screen now is what I'm going to call method 1, where you start with 2 rounds fired, then switch to first in last out and continue to fire until you're empty of all rounds. DPS for this method comes in at 43,076, beating anything I've ever tested, including every sword, with the exception of Fallen Guillotine when paired with Witherhoard, and even then, it's higher than that combination depending on how you use them. Of course, so far my only tests with Fallen Guillotine have been with the Season Pass rolls, although that will be changing soon. So back to the graph, and around the 10-second mark the line stops climbing as fast as Anarchy tick damage has ended, but continue to fire those rounds from first in last out until you're completely empty. Method 2 is coming onto the screen now, and for this, start the same as method 1, but after your 12th round from first in last out has been fired, switch back to Anarchy, fire 2 more rounds, then go back to the shotgun and empty the remaining 4 rounds that you had left. DPS for this method comes in at 44,675, and this does beat anything I've ever tested, including Fallen Guillotine with Season Pass rolls and Witherhoard. Not something I was expecting. So you can see that method 2 does briefly fall behind at around the 10 to 10.5 second mark when you switch back to Anarchy and fire another 2 rounds, but then once back to first in last out, accumulative damage then quickly passes method 1. Now, DPS is so high mainly because you effectively never need to reload, and of course it's paired with Anarchy, although it does have some drawbacks, the most obvious being that you need to be right up close to the target, which isn't always possible, or it's too much of a risk and would result in guaranteed death. Even after that, it can be a little awkward to land every precision shot, especially in the heat of battle with a potentially moving target and possibly adds that are shooting at you as well. Remembering, you're also unable to aim down sight for the 1-for-1 reload and fire periods. Not to mention the obvious, that this kind of damage in DPS can't be maintained for even 15 seconds. Not necessarily a viable DPS option for a lot of bosses, although it will have its moments, but definitely something useful against champions, for example, in challenging endgame content. A pleasant surprise to see something achieve huge damage in DPS like this that isn't a sniper or a sword. And on that note, it's all from me. So I hope you enjoyed the rather short video and found it informative. Next up, I think it'll be Witherhoard paired with a number of different legendary heavy weapons such as machine guns, rocket launchers, grenade launchers, etc. And before the season ends, I'm going to do an updated seasonal DPS video, such as the one I currently have out, only taking the best of the best from all my testing so far and then comparing them using the graph method. So if you've enjoyed this video and would like to see that, please consider subscribing and leaving some feedback in the comments down below, as it helps me out massively. And as always, thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next time.